Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
the unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
And we're live. Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny, and happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm Kristen Johnson.
And we're off to yet another rugged start, sadly to say.
It happens.
We were scheduled to have Rachel Hoffman on, who was awesome, and we were just talking, but Rachel lives in a bus, and it's really, really cool.
It's actually
awesome.
Really cool.
It's all done up. It's awesome. But she recently moved out to a rural area, and her Wi-Fi is not that happening. So we're going to reschedule with Rachel and do something soon in the future. And sorry if you were looking for her. We apologize, but it's live radio. Is what happens sometimes. Things get a little RE and like this fruit fly that's flying around my head, and get weird. So she will be back, and we thank her for trying to be on. And she's a great person. She's got a lot of good stuff to show us when she's back. So
yes, can't wait.
Yeah, we will be doing that. You might be wondering why we're wearing these blue shirts that say Readings by Chris on them.
That's
and
right.
It is not me. I am not the Chris that is on the shirt.
This is from our friend we had on, Chris Garcia, a couple of weeks ago, and he was kind enough to send us t-shirts and a couple other things, lanyards and business cards and things, and we just wanted to thank him so much. He's such a kind soul.
He is a really, really good guy. He was spot on with his readings.
He really is. Yes, he is.
And nice enough to send us the stuff. So, of course, we're going to wear it. You send us a t-shirt, we're going to wear the damn thing.
Heck yeah. And thank you again, Chris. But if you want to get a hold of Chris Garcia for a reading, it's Garcia187 bluelove@gmail.com. And he also has a phone number. It's area code 210-974-3470.
That's right. So check Chris out, and we will throw his website out in chat. And hey, I see Anne-Marie Young out there. Hey, Anne-Marie. Miriam, how you doing? You love the shirts too? Yes, we do. That's right. And I see Ken Allen, which brings us to our next point. Hey, Ken. What's going on, buddy? We are going to be on Ken's show right after this. It's called The Wizard's Table. And Ken is a good friend of ours. He's an occultist and a paranormal investigator, and he runs the podcast, The Wizard's Table. And we are going to be on there from 6 to 8 tonight. Mm-hmm. So it's streamed live on Facebook. You guys can check that out. So, yep, that'll be pretty cool. Looking forward to that. And we decided, like, where we don't have a guest, we would just kind of go back in the time machine, and cover some things.
Actually tell you who we are a little bit.
Yeah. And we have lots and lots of clips. We got like a ridiculous amount of like EVPs and Spirit Box clips. Yeah, we can go through with you all. And we have a lot of new listeners out there on the different networks. So we figured it's a good time to do so.
We want to say thank you to UFO Paranormal Radio Network, Pun TV, Paranormal United Network, and our new friends at POC, Paranormal UK Radio.
That's right. So, yep.
Yeah. Yep.
We got the business out of the way. We can relax. We can kick back, relax, talk a little, some ghosts and synchronicities and some things about us that are kind of interesting. Our paths cross. We grew up a town away from each other, and our paths crossed through our childhood often.
They did. We didn't know each other. We've seen each other.
That's right.
Always passed each other by.
Yep. I remember meeting Chris. I think I was around 16 years old.
He was dating one of my best friends.
Yours, and we met at your school. And I was like, oh, hi. And I remembered her. It always stuck with me.
He remembered actually what I was wearing.
Yep. She had this cute little red sweater on.
Black skirt.
Appropriately here. And I remembered it. So it was kind of interesting. There are some other things, too. We were both only children growing up, which meant you got a lot of playtime by yourself.
Yeah.
Your parents would drag you around places. you got playtime by yourself. Both of our parents were antique dealers,
Yes,
and they knew each other on some level.
they did.
So we assume. And Kristen, your parents had an antique shop in Rehoboth, right?
On Route 44, yes. Right behind, right in front, I should say, of Anna One Rock. I basically grew up there by myself.
All right. And you would play at the haunted Anawan Rock, who we have visited in recent times and gotten some very interesting data captured over there.
We did.
And you would play there as a child. And as it would turn out later in my late teens, I would be hanging out 2 doors down, rehearsing with my original band, which was called Cowhead, by the way.
That's right.
Just going to throw that out there because we never get enough credit. Cowhead was a cool band, damn it. And we rehearsed at the Polar residence, 2 houses down.
Right. And
who
we were
also antique people, I think. Yeah.
Yes, they were. And they're really good friends with my parents.
So there were times where I was over there and Kristen was 2 doors down and, just didn't, she probably might have heard some of that music.
Probably did. So what the heck is this?
Cowhead.
I do remember at one point when we were growing up, my grandparents had a summer home in Wellfleet, of all places, Wellfleet, Massachusetts, in the Cape. And we went there every single weekend. Chris also was there every single weekend, but in different, terms and stuff, and with your parents, with your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a really bizarre start.
So it was a weird thing. And then later, I had gotten married and you were doing your thing and having children and everything else. And what happened there?
Well, he had a really good band called Grandma's Pajamas. It was awesome. Oh, we loved that band. Well, come to find out, my ex was obsessed with this band. So every weekend, no matter where they played, he dragged me out. And I'm like, I know the guy that, is the bass player for this, right? And yep, it was like his obsession. And I'm like, wow, that's really weird.
My cover bands back in the 90s when a lot of you were just still in diapers. How do you like that?
Maybe some of them weren't even born yet.
Yeah. Well, my 14-year-old has a Nirvana shirt and loves Weezer, so that's the kind of stuff we used to play. But and I did meet you there, and it gets even stranger. I remember meeting you at a gig, and when you would pick out some songs.
You told me
in sets, and
in between sets, you handed me a big
CD thing.
Yeah, and I picked it out, and you got in trouble for that because
you actually ended up working with
your ex-wife.
My ex-wife.
I asked her, I'm like, Car, that's a different name. And I said, I know somebody with that last name. And I said, Chris Carr. She goes, how do you know him? I'm like, oh my God, we grew up together and stuff. And then what happened, Chris?
She came home and she says, hey, do you know it's Kristen Johnson? I'm like, yeah, that sounds familiar. She's like, well, she knows you. So, obviously there was no impact on our relationships or anything. They just happened to work together a little bit.
Yeah.
Eventually we would both wind up single, and here we are. And here's where it gets kind of interesting, and what makes this kind of a unique paranormal duo couple, if you will. Kristen, and we're going to get into these experiences, had very, very traumatic childhood experiences with the paranormal.
Yeah.
We both grew up in haunted houses, and we'll tell you guys those stories in a minute, but she was very turned off by the fact that I was into this stuff. I had been on paranormal teams and, did all these things. I wrote a book.
Yeah.
With Clarissa Vasquez about pareidolia. And, I was really into this stuff, but she was like, trying to sage when I come over, and thought I was bringing the devil in or something. So,
sage when you come in, sage.
This went on for a very long time, by the way. And eventually what happened is Kristen lives in one of the oldest houses in Swansea, Massachusetts. And it's haunted. And
yeah,
I knew there was activity there, but I couldn't investigate, but it grew.
It was
for a
lot.
time, and there were all kinds of weird things happening.
It wasn't like a whirlwind of something you see in Hollywood. It
Right.
just had few different things, like the refrigerator opened by itself, and
Well, that's kind of weird, right? Because it's not easy to open a fridge. And
exactly.
how did that go? You were sitting in the living room.
I was
right?
sitting in the living room.
kitchen. You can see it.
I could see it from from the living room, and it
I
just,
wasn't present for that opening,
and-
but I did notice activity, and then things would kind of like fly off the top of that refrigerator. I think your refrigerator's haunted.
yeah, maybe that's what it is. But there's also stuff that happened in my bathroom, my dining room, where things have been thrown, and
certainly the stairway. I know we heard a lot of things like.
Oh yes, we have
the stairway.
We believe it's a gentleman, but it's a spirit that comes up and down. You can hear him coming up and down the stairs, but you can hear my door bang at the bottom. So, my front door. So you hear the front door bang and you hear the steps going up. And every single one of my children have witnessed this, and they're all freaked out. But I'm just like, hey, maybe we should put some like trail cams or some kind of camera in there. Got to catch this, But yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah,
it does.
Yep. So long and short of that is the activity kind of grew to the point where you broke down and you said, all right, why don't you
Chris, I
get your spirit box out, get your recorders, get your paranormal toys.
Yeah,
bring them
on over.
And do some investigating. So we sat down, we did a 20-minute session. That was it. It's 20 minutes. I'm going to play you some of that session in a moment. And it ended up being just like full of data. There were 2 EVPs in it, maybe more. I forget now because it's been a while. And
yeah.
I know I threw some clips on here so we can play, but I didn't play like the whole 20-minute recording. There was a lot of stuff. I think over the spirit box, it was another EVP too. So I think there were actually 3.
True.
That went on, and then we did like 10 minutes of just talking and trying to get EVPs, and then 10 minutes of the spirit box. And, there was just jam-packed full of stuff, and I was so excited.
He's like, do you know how long I've been out in the paranormal fields, and it's just like one EVP I'd be happy with. This is insane. So I'm still freaked out about it. I don't really want to listen to this.
Yeah.
Right. And it took me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To actually
listen to
that. Nope.
Nothing. I was like, I mean, you got to understand, right? If you're a paranormal investigator, and you've done like residential cases, or you've gone to some of like the pay to play places, like the Lizzie Borden's world, or all those places, you can be there all night and just like still not get anything at all, right? And then I don't know how many times you're sitting back listening to 8 hours of data or more, when you have multiple microphones and cameras spread out through the location.
36 hours later.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, right? To do this stuff, you have to really love it. And maybe get an EVP, maybe get something that's unusual or hard to explain. That's kind of why I actually wrote that book on the pareidolia, because you try so hard that it's called psychosomatic pareidolia is part of the title of that, by the way. Maybe I'll show you that in a minute. But you almost bring it on yourself because you just want something to be there. And with this 20-minute session, it was just like, it's clear. It's right there. There's all this stuff. So
before you put on, just as soon as you put on the recorder, it actually has an EVP. I was asking it, Chris, if I should shut the lights off.
Oh, right.
And
dark.
Yeah. And it said something. And you were like, oh my God.
That's right. And it says, Chris, just wait. And the other thing it said was, we were talking about something, and I know it says, hey, Kristen. So I'm going to play that for you now. Yeah. We'll get right into some data here.
Could you please answer my 3 questions I've been asking you?
Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. That's what it says. Hey, Kristen.
Could you please answer my 3 questions I've been asking you?
So hopefully you can hear that. You might need headphones. The EVPs are definitely a little hard to hear, but they're definitely there. And the spirit box clip that I'm going to play next is a little easier to understand. And that we were playing the spirit box, and Kristen was freaking out a little bit because we actually heard her name a couple of times, and one of the times is captured here in this short clip. So you'll hear that, and this is Kristen, and it goes, please help. And it, actually, if you listen real close in the music, even it kind of says, please help me afterwards. Something, but that part isn't as is clear, but you'll hear the Kristen very clearly here.
Oh, is that what you're hearing?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Oh, I can't wait to play it back.
Sounded like Kristen.
So, yeah.
As you can tell, I'm freaked out by my voice. So
Yep, that was pretty cool. So, like I said, we were saying it would take Kirsten a couple of weeks to actually listen to some of this stuff, and some of it is personal. I know we got a clip here I put aside of your dad's name, and your dad, like my mom, had passed away, and his name came up, and it was something that you were always wondering.
Yes.
At the time, if he was there, and
Mhm.
not sure if you want to elaborate on that.
Mm.
I'll play that. His name was Thomas.
Mhm.
What members of Kristen's family are here?
Oh my God! You gotta stop this. I'm like freaking.
There you
Indeed,
go.
She was freaking.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, long and short of that, after the 2 weeks, when the dust finally settled, Kristen would become very obviously intrigued with this paranormal stuff, and that would become our passion, and has been. So she's the first person to
That's it.
to want to play back the stuff now. It's a totally different scenario. It's all changed. So we would go on to do some things. One of the locations we really liked, we used to call this the undisclosed location. And the reason being is they really don't want people paranormal investigating there. However, it's a cemetery. It's open to the public, and people are there kind of doing that stuff during the day and walking around. And it's a fairly busy place because of so many legends that surround it.
They actually call it the eighth gate of hell.
Eighth gate of hell, and a gate is the key word.
Mm.
And if you are familiar with the New England lore, you might know exactly what we're talking about. It's named after its gates in common terms, but it's called Friends Cemetery, and it's in Leicester, Massachusetts. It's a very old cemetery. Quaker cemetery. That's right. It was started by the Quakers. And the Quaker history is pretty interesting. The Quakers are basically treated like witches in colonial times when they came over here, because they had no intermediary between them and their God. They spoke directly to God. And that's why they're sometimes referred to as Shakers, because they would hold their gatherings, and I guess still do. The Quakers are still around, talk to God, and maybe appear to shake or, be touched by.
Right. They get into it, and they want
God.
They want to be,
Yep. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in the colonial days, in the Mass Bay colonies, they were persecuted and often hung and tortured in awful things. Much like the witches, they basically were considered witches. Sometimes they would take them right off the boat before they even got here from jolly old England, and jail them, enslave them. But some of them had moved out to this area, and they bought some of this land. It was considered magical lands. And
that's what the Native Americans, the Nipmucs.
Nipmucs said it was magical lands, and it certainly is a haunted location, and it goes by the common name of Spider Gates. And again, they do discourage. We don't want to send people there to paranormal investigate.
They have a lot of police officers walking around.
They do. Do not go there after hours, especially.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. We did this during the day. They do patrol it pretty heavily at night, although kids do get down there and kind of party and stuff, local kids and all that.
Yeah, we clean up the cemetery after them, with the glass and stuff.
Of broken beer bottles and all. But I asked this question about those gates because they are curious, and they're I should have had a picture handy, but kind of running off the cuff here. They're kind of elaborate. They look like suns, and that's what they're intended to be. But when you look at the big iron gates that are at the front of this cemetery, they also kind of look like spiders. So it's taken on the name Spider Gates. And I asked the question, is it suns or is it spiders? And this is the response I got from the spirit box.
Are they spiders or the sun?
Love that.
Spider.
Yep,
we slowed that down. It's definitely spider too.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting experience going there, and that became our favorite spot for a number of reasons. And there are other other entities we encountered, correct?
Oh, yes, we ended up with an obsession with this. Do you want me to start there?
Well, we could go into Toby.
Okay.
One of the legends that surrounds this particular boneyard is that a teenager had hung themselves in the 1980s.
Mhm.
There's a big tree when you first walk in. It's on the left, and it's got this giant branch going across. And it does look like somewhere where you would throw a rope over, and that's it. It's all done. But there's no real records of it. And there's some mystery of that. And when we're doing our research, we found out, there's a family in town that owned the local newspaper, and they might have covered it up, or
Yes.
at least some websites allude to this. We can't speak to the validity of that
we
either
don't.
way, but it is something that people do believe, which we'll get into that and how that might create some of the spirits we see. But Toby did appear to be a child spirit to us. Whether or not he really was, we cannot possibly know.
Right.
But we kept getting this name Toby coming on the spirit box
Hmm.
while we were there, and we thought we were having communications there, and we said, Toby, how old are you? And
This is what we get.
says.
Toby, how old are you?
How old are you?
Yeah, hopefully those clips are coming over the stream well. Toby says at least 3 times in there.
He's
Yeah,
7.
but he's 7 years old, and that's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
And we had other interactions, and some of the other spirits, when we get into that, told us he was hung. So
Mhm.
that's why we say that about the tree. And it's very curious, but it does kind of follow the local legend. The other local legends being that the cults go in there for
That was a nice little rabbit hole.
satanic cults. They
Mhm.
go in there for their different practices. There's actually a very large rock. It's called the altar in there that people refer to. And whether or not that really happens, we don't know, but we did find out thanks to Jeff Belanger's research and listening to one of his podcasts
Mhm.
that WPI, Worcester Polytechnic,
Uh-huh.
does go in there annually, and they have a group that's sort of like sounds a little like the Skull and
Skull
Bones
and
kind of
Bones,
thing,
yeah.
but it's like the
Initiation.
WPI thing, and they go in there with black hoods and robes and candles and
And that's
recite something mysterious, and nobody knows what that is, I guess, unless you're not part of, if you're outside of it.
it's a true
That
story.
does happen. So they do this still to this day annually.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I guess one of the founders of that college is buried in there. So there's a lot of
Yes.
legends. If you guys Google search Spider Gates, you'll find all kinds of things about it. Talking about Toby, we went back, because we were going to this place now. We were like, oh my God, what is going on? There were other things to get into. But we really got a lot of stuff, and we were really intrigued with the responses we were getting. And we asked again on our return trip, Toby, how old are you? And this is what he had to say.
Toby, can you tell us how old you are again? Seven.
Twice.
Dear.
Yeah, and we could hear it in real time there, saying 7. And on that return trip, we made some new friends. We bumped into some younger girls that are out there.
Their name's
checking it
Justine and Courtney, and they were
They were hanging out, and
really willing to, they were so
we
excited.
did a spirit box session with them because they were kind of doing the same thing, and like trying to be discreet and like, oh yeah, just checking out the headstones kind of thing. And then they do like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're kind of into the paranormal. Like, oh, so are we. So we let them join. They're actually hearing their voices in that last clip. And we did a spirit box session with them, recorded it. And in the span of that session, we actually heard all of our names come back. Chris, Kristen, Courtney, Justine. all there were responses in that session, but we learned more about Toby. And the next clip I'm going to play is kind of special. It's a little longer. And we use Audacity, which is this kind of free software that's out there to, trim your clips, amplify them. But try
Slow
not to
them down.
manipulate them in any way other than like maybe slowing it down if it's something said quickly.
Right.
And then there's also this noise reduction feature. And I don't use it all the time, but excuse me, I used it for this because it was a lot of static, and it just helps take the frequencies of the static out. And when I did that, it actually revealed more things Toby was saying to us. And in this clip, you're going to hear him whimpering. You're going to hear, we asked the question, how old are you? And you'll hear the sevens. And they're actually a little more subtle. It almost sounds underwater with the noise reduction.
That's the noise reduction, yes.
But it opened up some other things.
Now, when I listened to this at first, I was at home. I was the first one to hear this. And I was like, oh my God, I had to listen to it over and over again. I'm like, I started to like tear up. I'm like, Chris, don't listen to this while you're at work.
Right.
And now, of course, he does, right? Yeah. I'm like, this is so sad.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it because, essentially at the end of the day, I don't know if he's real.
Right.
We had to, or felt obligated to treat the situation like he is, in fact, a child spirit trapped in this cemetery. But we'll get more into that. Spirits' roles in UFOs in a little while. But this is a long clip. I can pause it, so I'm gonna start it now, and then you'll see the part that Kristen's talking about. That was kind of sad.
Toby, are you here?
Toby, can you tell us how old you are?
Listen
Again?
to the whimpering.
So, here. I didn't hear this.
We did. Yeah. Toby, what's your last name?
It's coming. So right there, you hear clearly, he says, "Where's Mom?" And that's the part Kristen was referring to.
Yeah, it was
just like freaking out.
When you really listen to it well with headphones, you can hear him like whimpering and sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. And I agree with you, Anne Marie Young. The help me hurts the most.
Yeah, that was help me. And you wonder what kind of help they need. You know what they're asking. Is it something that does turn up in
a lot
of our recordings? Is help me, and we're not always sure how to do that.
Yeah.
But there's more to this clip, so let me play a little bit more. It says, "Where's Mom?" And you can hear the whimpering, and then it goes on.
Why are you guys here? Leave. Did it again. Leave. Does that mean you're leaving, or we should leave? Scared. You're scared to leave.
Scared to leave.
Why are you scared to leave?
I don't think we got a good answer for why he was scared to leave, and yeah, that's where it ends. So yeah, you can hear that back and forth response, and that's the genuine article right there. So we were definitely starting to obsess on this location, and
to help Toby.
Yeah, we wanted to
really
help Toby. Absolutely. And other things materialized as well. We spoke to Kat Ironwood. We interviewed her, and you can hear that interview. She's sort of the queen of hoodoo and owns the Lucky Mojo
Curio Company.
Curio Company, right, which manufactures all kinds of great products, some of which are behind us.
Yes.
Over there on the shelf, there's books and herbs and oils and all kinds of stuff. If you want to learn a little bit about hoodoo, that is the place to go, luckymojo.com. And we were talking to her about Toby at the time, and she gave us some recommendations of mixing herbs, and we also thought it would be a good idea to mix candy. So
I did. I crushed up some candy. Put a little
Chris whipped this up for us, like crushed up some hard candies and
intention. It's all about intention and
the herbs.
Herbs.
The cast off evil one in there, maybe some other stuff.
Peaceful. I put a little bit of stuff. Anyway.
And we did go there with this in hand and led a trail out through the gates. And I think we might even brought some toys with us or something. Trigger objects, trying to lead his spirit out. And as to whether it worked or not, I can say that we did return and tried to speak with Toby, and we're not able to reach him.
Right.
In particular. So he didn't seem to respond. We didn't get the 7s again. None of that happened.
Right.
But so it did seem to work.
Hope so.
But we just wonder if they're messing with our head too, because there's so many legends. But on our first trip, the more stuff happened than that. Probably one of the bigger paranormal events for us seemingly happened, and it's actually not recorded, although part of it kind of is, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we had set up a spirit box in about the center of the cemetery to run and scan with a recorder, and left it and walked. Kristen is walking with our recorder that has a live real-time headset plugged into it, and she's got noise canceling headphones on. So everything Kristen is hearing is coming through this recorder that she's holding. She can't really hear me talk other than through the recorder, right? If she turned it off, she really wouldn't hear me, because they work pretty well to isolate noise, and they stick to your head pretty good. And I'm walking with her, and we're asking questions and doing that sort of thing. And we got toward the edge. There's like a stone wall there, and we both heard, "Hello!"
Like
really
loud.
loud. I'm gonna sound like a New Englander now. I'm gonna say wicked loud, because it was wicked loud, and it scared the crap out of us.
Yeah.
And like we both jumped. Like we thought somebody was like right in front. Now, bear in mind, this cemetery is like a quarter mile off the main road.
Yeah.
Or it's not really a main road, but it's like a side road that people would drive down. But it is like a dirt road, and there are like park rangers and stuff that do come down. Of course, people visiting the cemetery walk down. You can't drive down there; that's gated off. But we thought maybe there was somebody out front. So I jumped up on that stone wall, to see who it was, because we were kind of close to the front. We could see the road in front. There's nobody there. All right,
He's looking like on the stone wall, over the gates.
Yeah,
There's
and
nobody around.
Up and down. There's nobody around at all. So I the voice, I don't know who said it. I jumped off the wall, and it kind of, I don't know if it kicked the rock off, or it was the rock I landed on when it jumped. It's on about a 3-foot wall, but it makes a loud noise. And right at that
I
point,
have the noise canceling headphones on, but I've got that thing in it.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to the hello. An EVP, we got an EVP recorded on the recorder that Kristen's holding. Okay, so yeah, to bring it back, the hello wasn't on any of the recordings.
Nope.
There is the spirit box that was away from us. We couldn't really even hear. At the same time this happens, we found out later, we figured this out. There's a DJ's voice comes through and says, "Yo." And it's quiet. We didn't hear
very
this
quietly
in real time, but it's on the recorder that was next to that one in the center of the cemetery. And I theorized that they are able to take existing noise and amplify it or manipulate it, send it to specific things like your ears as a microphone. And I know other researchers have talked about this, and there's a word for it that it escapes me, but it would seem that like you could have an example where you had 2 recorders on a table and only one captures the EVP, because the spirit somehow selected it there.
Right.
And we think that's what happened to us with the hello, because it really was loud. I mean, it would absolutely be on the recorder. All Kristen can hear is what's coming through the recorder, right? So no hellos there. But we did get an EVP right after it.
Right after it happened, and it kind of swore,
Yeah, we kind of swore. I think we're good.
but
We're
he's
gonna go
jumping
for it.
off the wall.
Yep, I jumped off the wall. You hear the rock in the front of this that I landed on, kind of makes a loud noise, and then you'll hear this gentleman
EVP. Yeah.
say, "Rock 'twas old."
But that thing is.
This scared the shit out of me.
There, I slowed it down at the last time.
Rock 'twas old.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that. Like all rocks are old. It's kind of funny. We call him the gatekeeper, and we have an idea of what he looks like, and we described it to somebody else who, his name is Sam Baltrusis, another paranormal investigator extraordinaire out there, Sam. And
Hey,
just
Sam.
to give Sam a plug too, we're going to be at the Mass Paracon that Sam is holding
Mhm.
in September. If you're in the Massachusetts area, and also wanted to tell you if you're in Salina, Kansas area, the Paranormal United Network is presenting the Fear Fest Paracon September
2021.
24th and 25th at the Temple in Salina, Kansas.
I wish we could go join you guys.
We do want to go.
Yes.
They're doing a mass one. I think it's a week before, but I don't know. You never know what happens. We might be there. Anyways, long and short of it is we had the same kind of description of this guy. You know, this kind of early American gentleman. I picture him in like overalls, and he apparently, when he was there, ran into him, and he can see he is very clairvoyant, Sam, and he saw him, and he helped their group find some lost keys, apparently. So it was just interesting that we had the same vision of what this gatekeeper looked like. So that seems to be a real entity there at the Spider Gates.
Anne wants to know if we have any pictures of this area, and we could see
Yeah, we
pictures.
do. We do. I didn't really
Video.
have any ready
Yeah.
to show. I was kind of rushing to get things ready with this clip.
On the top of my Facebook page, my my background, you'll see above my profile picture, my profile whatever it is, background is the picture of the gates.
Mhm.
That's the spider gates.
Yeah. Actually, I'll try to find something while we're talking here.
We have a ton of pictures and
Lots online.
videos.
I'll see if
And
we can bring something up.
yeah, we haven't really gotten there yet to put all this together and kind of making a little mini documentary. And at one point I was freaking out again at the camera. That's another whole story on its own.
Yeah, I'll bring something up, and let me see
Yeah,
here.
that's the picture I have.
Looking for the clearest one. All right, this kind of shows them good. Let's see now.
So that
Hold
Yeah.
on, I gotta bring it up.
what have you got going on there?
And you guys can see that there.
It's not a very big cemetery, but
Large circles with kind of squiggly lines in the circles going to the center, and
There's
you
supposed
know
to be sun
they're
rays.
supposed to be sun rays. It's very unique, but you know, most people think that kind of looks like spiders. So
Spider.
that's pretty interesting. And stop sharing. There we go. Back. What else we got here? We got lots of stuff. So Rock was old. We talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the hello, which was really just crazy thing that happened.
Chris says it's like one of the most paranormal things that has ever happened to us.
Indeed.
Yet.
And we also started getting another name.
Mm.
It's like a whole cast of characters that seems to go.
Oh
along.
yeah, we even have a cartoon
this?
villain.
Yeah. And it was Frank, and I didn't have room to put that clip on there with all the Franks, but we associate it with this, what we end up calling, we did a podcast on, it's called the Evil AM Band. And what happened is with this particular spirit box, we would run it, and it didn't seem to matter whether we were at Spider Gates or not. We could go out of state, pretty much across the state, like in different radio areas, and we kept getting the same voice saying, "It speaks." Like,
Can't.
it speaks.
It speaks, can't escape.
and yeah, can't escape. And then it would start to add more words the more we obsessed on it,
Mm-hmm.
which is very, very interesting. And we kind of did get obsessed, and his name kept coming up, Frank Houghton. And we, for the life of us, in all our research, could not find anybody that really fit the bill as far as the locations and stuff. I mean, there were Frank Houghtons out there, obviously. People know of the Houghton mansion.
Mm-hmm.
We got this name the first time we heard it. We actually weren't at Spider Gates. We were
Right.
in front of what's called the
The
Houghton
Houghton Mausoleum.
And this is at a cemetery in Worcester, and it's a very elaborate mausoleum. And the story with this, and the reason why we went there and chose to go there and check it out, was it had been broken into, and there were bones of children and adults, to be used in Santeria practices.
Yeah.
This was a news story a few years back, so we thought that was interesting, and it ends up leading into this
Rabbit hole.
like so much
Yeah.
paranormal stuff does. You open the door and there's this big rabbit hole. So what's this Houghton got to do with it? Getting the name Houghton back. But this was early into the AM band stuff. We had gone back. I think it was our second trip to Spider Gates, and we decided to see if we would get. Yeah, because we went to Spider Gates and then we went to Hope Cemetery where the Houghton Mausoleum is, and then we had gone back to Spider Gates like a couple weeks after that, and we tried the AM band thing. And at this point, we weren't assured that it seemed to follow us everywhere. And it's kind of a funny clip.
It is, because we have the camera rolling.
Yeah, we have video.
Yeah, the video's going. Not my best moment.
Yeah, Kristen kind of bugs out.
Yeah, you'll hear it. It's bad.
She bugs out a little bit.
I'm like
It's
freaking out.
It's saying the same thing. And here's the other thing. I'm trying to debunk it on the fly, and I'm adjusting the spirit box as it goes. And like, I changed the direction of the sweep. That, of course, had no effect. Then I slowed down the speed, thinking, okay, and this little blip where it goes speaks, and you'll understand what I'm saying in a minute when I play it. It must be like a bunch of words, and it's just that it's scanning so fast, it just comes out that way, and it's something to do with the box. But as you'll hear, it's not quite the way it worked out on this day.
No.
Does it really can just be shadow?
Who's around me?
How to delete. With Angel. Work now.
Scanning AM.
This is what we did with the Houghtons, correct? Can you imagine if we did the same stuff?
I just heard something go. If you were trying to speak through us before, through this box, or changed it slightly, please try again. We'd love to talk to you. It'll help us communicate. We want to know if you have a message for us. No, it's what I did here. Real weird. I turn it up a little bit. It sounds loud. Oh my God, it is.
He's saying the same thing. Saying the same thing.
I just heard it say speak.
It's saying the same thing.
What is your name?
Again.
Oh, jeez.
Speak.
That's good.
Let's go in the other direction. And a note. Stations. You got words on.
Okay, now I'm trying to slow it down. I had to stop it to make it low.
Smell this. And slow.
So it begins.
What is your name?
Darn thing yelled at us, speak.
It just did it
God.
slower. So yeah, there's a whole thing with the AM band. I know it sounds a little weird in one clip. We did a podcast on it. It was really a creepy experience. We kept getting this no matter where we went. It just, the more we obsessed on it, the more it had to say.
Right.
But it always started with this kind of it speaks thing, and then like other things would come. It speaks Houghton. It speaks Frank Houghton.
It speaks hybrids.
It speaks hybrids.
It speaks ravens and lament.
And like, yeah, right, all kinds of strange and interesting things. Do recommend, if you find that fascinating, check out the podcast we have on that under Dark Horse Paranormal. It's called the Evil AM Band.
And it really is. I have other thoughts about this as well, which I'll probably talk about on Ken's show, which we have next at 6 to 8 p.m.
Yep. Yep. So we got real into the Spider Gates, and yeah, we'd stick around for Ken's show. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these clips and what we were doing. It became our thing, and this is why we call Bigfoot and the Bunny a couple's journey into the mysterious, the unknown, and the paranormal, because that's exactly what we do.
So we forgot to tell him right after this with the It Speaks. I went back to my house and where I live, and I'm like, just for the heck of it, we sat on the porch, my porch, and sure enough, we got that again. The AM band. It Speaks. I'm like, oh my God, it's everywhere
and
we
it's
go.
Far away. It's like
Why?
past the radio stations.
And at this point, we're like, what speaks? Why can't it escape? And it's really messed up. It still is to this day.
Yep. Again, you guys can check out that podcast, Evil
Dark
AM
Horse.
Band.
Yep.
And we also we got so obsessed with it, and it got so crazy. Like we seemed to be channeling it like wherever we went, and it started to spook us out. Chris was seeing things.
I was seeing things, and I choose not to see. So
yeah.
I shut that right out, and
we
it was bad.
still kind of dealing with a little bit of haunting, and it didn't seem like we could banish it. What we found was that we had to get away from it, and what would not be the first time, we took a break from the Evil AM Band and Spider Gates and all of that. We decided to explore Native American history, because certainly there's so many stories based on this was built on an Indian burial ground, and I kind of had sort of that experience myself as a child, and we didn't get exactly into our childhood. So if we got time, we'll loop back. Otherwise, we'll save it for
Ken's
show.
podcast. Yeah.
But we did check out a couple of places that we like. We went to the Anawan Rock, again, that Chris had played at, which is a known haunted location. People have reported hearing drums from this location, seeing things like Taipaiwankas, which are these little sort of lights that seem to follow around a fairy of local legend called the Pukwudgie. If you're into Bridgewater Triangle stuff, you're probably familiar with the Pukwudgie and the Taipaiwankas, and they've been sighted in this area.
It's actually the place where King Philip was captured.
That's right, where he surrendered, and it was kind of marks the end of King Philip's War. And King Philip's War was the bloodiest Native American versus white man battle that occurred in America. More people died in that per capita than I believe any other war. And the idea of scalpings was not unique to the natives. We also did the same thing. There were scalpings, rapes, killing of women and children. There were awful things going back and forth. And there's a lot of blood in this land around us. And hauntings are often attributed to that, just as a possible reason as to why they're haunted.
Right. We have a podcast, and it's on Dark Horse, correct? And it's called Native American
Hauntings.
And we break down King Philip's War and
a lot of history.
A lot
it.
of history.
Kind of explain it better. So we're just kind of gleaning a few of these things. We had the opportunity to do so. And this is actually kind of a funny clip. It'll lighten things up a little bit.
Oh
We call
God.
this one Ghosts, and then we captured this at Anawan Rock.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of cute. It's kind of fun.
what it says is the prep you to listen for is the the neighbors think I'm a ghost. And then we ask, who lives here? And it says,
Go.
ghosts.
Who lives here? Who lives here?
We like that. And we did capture quite a few things. Let me see. I think I got to look at my chart here. Pardon me.
It's because we've got them loaded into the box here.
And it's Chief Anawan that was captured. So this is an interesting clip. We actually get this on the spirit box. His name, Anawan, which is 3 syllables, is usual to get on a spirit box. And there's some other things here. There's kind of a sentence going on.
Who was captured here?
Right there.
Traitor.
Who was captured here?
Anawan. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good capture when you really stop and listen to that.
And when you really think about
Says
it,
something like, "You must give back, Chief Anawan, the traitor."
the traitor.
So that, it was said that he gave in too easily. Some of the people felt he just kind of surrendered. He was holding camp, and he was told he would be spared if he gave up, and that was not the case. They actually tried him in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and literally cut off his head and put it on a stake.
For 20 years.
For like 20 years, the skull was just there, just rotted,
Yeah.
decayed. True story.
It's
You can look
pretty
that up,
sad.
and that's pretty creepy.
Sick.
But on a happier note, we also, I don't know if it's happier, but we went to a praying town, I think is what they called it. It's the praying Indians. These are Indians that were converted to Christianity during the midst of these wars. A lot of them were spared, but not all of them. This town, Grafton, it was, I forget the name, it was called something else, and that day had a number of the Native Americans living there that were converted to Christianity and built a burial ground for them. And it's sadly, it's literally called Old Indian Burial Ground. That's what it says on the sign out front. And there are very crude headstones there. I know the Nipmuc tribe celebrates their life, and they do parades and stuff around it and events. So we thought we would check it out. And I just got one clip for that. Kristen had a shirt on. We had gone to a convention. Straight up paranormal. What would you call it? New Age?
It's like a new age, yeah.
Yeah, kind of convention.
Crystals.
Metaphysical. How about that? I like that word.
That's
Metaphysical.
what it is. Metaphysical. That's what
convention.
it was.
And she got a shirt that said "Believe."
Believe. I've worn it before. Yeah, here, and it's pink and
Yeah,
it says "Believe" on it.
says "Believe"
so-
on it, and we had the pictures that day that showed the video that we took of this. But this is the audio, and she asked about her shirt.
Is the woman that Kristen sees in the house here?
Wrong
Oh,
clip.
that's the wrong
Wrong
one.
clip. I'll get this. That's Evelyn. That's something else.
What's her name? Can she talk to us? Is the woman?
Of course, it would be like the
Kristen
longest
sees in
clip.
the
I
house
can't
here?
stop it. Let's turn it down. So yeah,
That one's
let me prep
funny.
it. Oh yeah, I see what I did. It's all the blinky lights. I hit the wrong blinky light. Give me, folks.
What's her name? Can she talk to us?
Of course, it's like the longest clip ever. There we go. All right, so now we're back. Let me try that take 2. Should be up here. I just got a scribble chart of what these little buttons mean, so bear with me.
You know what my shirt says? You know what my shirt says?
Yeah, right on. Says it
Says it
twice.
twice.
So it is actually what our shirt said. That was
the-
impressive.
Yeah, very.
So we got about 15 minutes left.
Not even like 10.
I'll cover a few more things here before we move on to Ken's show. Take a quick break. Hope you guys are appreciating us, getting to know us a little bit more.
Yes.
And what we're
thank you.
about. This is some history. If you're real familiar with us from our past podcasts and shows, you might know some of this. So sorry if you're hearing it twice, but there are some cool clips in there for sure.
Pretty darn cool.
We hit another point of taking a break, right? In 2020, COVID, blah blah blah. We weren't getting out, weren't going out,
Blah, blah, blah.
and we're still feeling pretty honest. So decided to give things a break for a while, and then we just as we find this is like the best banishing is just to stop for a little bit.
Mhm.
And we decided to have a session at your house,
My dining room
in,
table.
your dining room table in January. And
Uh huh.
here are a couple of clips from that.
Oh, God.
We'll start with, actually, I just played one accidentally, but I'm going to skip that for now.
Okay.
Kristen had felt somebody touching
The top of my head.
your hair while we were sitting there doing this.
Yeah.
And I asked who that was. And
This is the
it
answer.
was apparently Paul.
Who just ran their fingers through my hair?
We're pretty sure it was Paul.
Yeah.
This there's an awful lot
I
of
call
Pauls
it the
in there.
blame game.
Yeah.
This is Paul.
Paul.
Stop it.
Paul.
And it's very low, but all of a sudden you hear it was Paul, like just before they started naming him off,
Yeah.
saying the name. Yeah.
And we also asked how many consciousnesses.
Oh, this was great.
It's my favorite word that I can't say. Consciousnesses are here. And we got a clear answer to that as well.
How many are here besides Kristen and I? How many consciousnesses?
24.
4.
Like,
So they hear 24
yeah.
twice. You heard it the first time, like 24.
I laughed.
And then
I
it
was
goes
like,
back,
24.
20,
Yeah.
4.
Like 24.
So that was pretty good. I
Yeah.
think at the height of the AM Band Mania, we were doing sessions. We set up a session where Kristen was home in her house. I was at my house. We called each other on the phone. They were feeling a particularly energetic day. I think we had said, I have a lot of energy. I'm like, yeah, there's something going on. We should do a session. She calls me. I put her on speakerphone on my cell phone. And we get ready to do a spirit box session. But the best parts of that were actually before I start the spirit box, and we got 2 different EVPs. The first one I'm going to play you. I apparently heard it in real time. I heard something, and I was trying to set things up and get everything right, like on my table, because I had the gear and I got Kristen on the phone and spirit box, and I got a recorder going, and I'm trying to like place the recorder so it doesn't distort
I have the recorder going to my side.
and stuff. And I hear something, and I'm like, "Yep."
Thinks it's me.
what the spirit said was asshole. And
Here we go.
oh,
Yep.
it's calling me an asshole, and I'm like, "Yep."
Yep.
So that's this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I have the recorder going.
Okay.
Putting on my glasses.
Okay.
And, yeah. And, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing
Yeah.
I want to mention is the distortion on the recorder. That's that Tascam, and that's a good recorder, and it's done this sometimes.
Several
It
times.
appears to record in like it's being overdriven, and we feel like that's when there's some sort of spiritual or entity contact with it, because it's really not. It has a light on it that tells you. It's one of the things I check for when I set it up. You know, if it's being overdriven, you hear that. It almost sounds like a spirit box from me, but it's not. That's actually the recorder distorting.
It's like they're touching it.
They're touching it.
Yeah.
They're messing with it, man.
Mess with them.
And yeah, I guess they didn't think a lot of me, or I don't know.
I don't know. But
I don't
it's
know.
really fun.
I'm not sure who the a-hole is.
You,
I guess I'm gonna
well,
go with
you
it.
acknowledged
Whoever got
it, so
Yep. I'm like,
Yep.
yep. I guess that's me. And then right after that happened,
this was
I'm
awesome.
still setting up. We got one of the clearest EVPs we've ever gotten.
Yeah,
Now keep in mind
Class
that sound of the recorder is still going. And let me just make sure I play the right clip here. Oh yeah, there it is. And we got this. I'm gonna say it.
Black box.
Or this box or that box.
Yeah. So
We-
that woman's voice is not us.
Mm-mm.
And what we're doing at that point is instructing the spirit to speak into this box, that box,
This
the
is
way we
our
describe
thing.
it, this black box.
We have a lot of boxes.
There's no perfect way to do this. We're just trying to make it as easy as possible from whatever they can perceive in our consciousness. And consciousness and UAPs are definitely something we want to get into. I think we're going to get into it in a little while.
hmm
We can, because there's a lot going on, and I've got a lot of theories about this. So one of the things that I said, I think I mentioned it last week, I'm not sure, was that the reason we feel that a lot of electronic voice phenomena is so whispery sounding is that they're actually using your breath. I think they need some sort of noise in the environment to create these EVPs. And I think that's why spirit boxes can work so well, because they have something to manipulate. Certainly not all the data captured on them is real. Definitely not. And I only call this stuff data. We don't call it evidence.
No.
But it is, when you hear something like the Paul clip, for instance, or 24, and it's quite clear they're repeating things like, what are the odds that's going to come across the radio waves? And, how do you explain, I'm going to say it. Like, who was that? Wasn't us. Nobody home in either of our residences.
Right.
There it is. Clearly it's woman's voice. Who we believe is Evelyn, and we had other clips for. We'll play another time.
Anywhere where Kristen goes.
Yeah, actually, we got time. Let's do that.
Okay.
So this is Evelyn. Kristen, you feel as a woman?
I have two women spirits that I feel that are present at all times in my home. So I have yet and no, I always ask what this woman's name is. So I asked, I think it was you that asked, who's the...
I forget, but they give us
yeah.
an indicator. On
Yeah.
this, and it does say things like anywhere Christine goes is also there, and we say who's the name, and it comes back. Who's the name of the woman? And it comes back Evelyn. And here's that.
Is the woman that Kristen sees in the house here? What's her name? Can she talk to us? Is the woman that Kristen sees in the house here?
Noise reduction.
What's her name? Can she talk to us?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot Jake's name is.
And your
Jacob
name.
is,
Yeah.
Is Kristen's son.
Everywhere where Kristen goes.
So
Why they...
mentions Chris in there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty intriguing. And yeah, Jake has
A
actually
little
been
creepy too.
captured a few times, and
Yeah.
so far.
We had got him at Spider
phenomenon.
Gates. Got his
Yeah.
name at Anawan. So
Anawan,
that
when
was a
there
really
with
good
us, we
clip.
took him to Anawan because it's a nice place.
Yeah.
The rock itself is large, and you can climb upon it. It's huge. It's got to be. I forget. I used to know that the numbers.
Yeah.
It's a giant thing.
Boulder, huge.
Huge.
rock.
And like you go up to the top of it, and you're up. I don't know, 15, 20 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's flat on top, and you can walk around. And,
We
it's
have a clip
very
of that.
cool scenic thing. Yeah, we did.
And it's
Yeah.
long though, and
It's
but
not
it
on
does.
the box, babe.
It's okay. I'm just saying it does refer to Jacob like we're trying,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
he's
it
gonna
mentions
fall
his
off
name
or
over and over.
something. Yeah, like
And that's actually in the Native American hauntings
yes.
podcast, so you can check that out. I actually had a lot more stuff if you like that. And there's a lot of history in there. That's a good one. We have one about Toby as well, the child spirit, and a little bit more in depth on Toby. Again, under Dark Horse Paranormal, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check those out. You want to hear more data if you like the stuff. And we just wanted to give you guys, a little more background about us. You know who we are. This couple that's into the mysterious, the unknown, and the paranormal. And this is why.
Paranormal.
We also had very haunted childhoods, which you guys will definitely get to hear about soon. So I think we're going to get ready for Ken's show. And that's all we've got. Actually, we do have a guest next week. Let me see what we got. Sorry, bear with us. Anything else you want to tell them?
No, that's about it. Just make sure you go to Bigfoot and the Bunny, or definitely Dark Horse Paranormal. We put a lot of
if you go to www.darkhorseparanormal.com, you can find out what we're up to. And we also own bigfootandthebunny.com, right? And but sometimes, for whatever reason, I keep calling our hosting company. It doesn't always point correctly. So use Dark Horse Paranormal. Next week, we are going to have Kimberly McGeorge, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, on the show. And she is quite amazing. We're going to be covering things like cryptozoology, paranormal, conspiracy consciousness, technology, frequencies, alien tie-ins, etc., as well as alternative health.
I love the way she says, not all beings are Sasquatch.
That's right. That's right. That's going to be a really cool show.
Yeah.
Stick with us, and we'll see you next Saturday, guys.
Thanks
a
for
lot.
joining.
Enjoy your weekend.
Bye-bye.